In tonight's 360 perspective, right now, Congress is about the closest it's ever come to legalizing cannabis at the federal level. It's a historic effort in a time when 2/3 of Americans support legalization, according to the Pew Research Center. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at the MORE Act, what it would do and whether it could become law. First, a little background. In 1970, the Controlled Substances Act was added to the federal tax code. Marijuana was labeled a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning the government believed it had high potential for abuse, severe safety concerns, and no medical benefits. Other Schedule I drugs include heroin, cocaine, and LSD. But 2 decades later, states started to challenge that designation, first by many legalizing medical marijuana. In 2012, Colorado and Washington made history by becoming the first states to legalize recreational marijuana. And now today, 33 states have medical marijuana, 11 have legalized it. But according to drugpolicy.org, more than 600,000 Americans were arrested for simple possession last year, and thousands are serving prison sentences today for nonviolent offenses involving marijuana. And on top of all the legal and financial barriers cannabis companies face because of the plant's federal status, there's also a social stigma that makes it hard for local businesses to be accepted in their own communities.
What we've seen is that the industry needs some positivity.
Some who work in Colorado Springs medical marijuana say they love to give back to their community, but they have trouble finding nonprofits that will accept their donations.
I mean, these are small businesses and they're family-owned businesses, and they're people who support our community. And we live here and we shop here, and giving back is so important. So there is a lot of negative stigma around cannabis, and we at Cannabis Marketing Inc. and with our partners, we believe that that doesn't have to be the case.
Local food bank Care and Share took them up on their offer, and now several shops are collecting food items for the needy throughout the weekend. Here's what the MORE Act is. It stands for Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement. It has 3 major goals. The first is to deschedule cannabis, remove it from the Controlled Substances Act. It would mean full decriminalization of weed across the board, which would allow America's marijuana industry to act like any other business, to bank or make charitable donations. The MORE Act's second goal here would require the federal government to review and possibly wipe out previous convictions involving marijuana that were nonviolent, pushing for states to do the same. And finally, it would establish a 5% federal tax on all marijuana sales, which would go to a newly created Opportunity Trust Fund. That would be used in communities that have been impacted by the war on drugs, which are mostly low-income and minority communities. But does it have a chance to reach the president's desk?
I would say that it's possible, but unlikely.
While the MORE Act passed committee, it has not yet gone before the full House, where it has bipartisan support. But UCCS political science professor Josh Dunn explains why it could die in the Republican-controlled Senate.
My understanding is that some of the Republicans think that the MORE Act goes too far. You look at Mitch McConnell in the Senate, he's not a fan of legalization or decriminalization. So I think right now it looks like it's probably going to die. And of course, you're looking at the fact that there are some other significant political issues that they're going to be confronting over the next few months. So I'm guessing that there's not going to be an appetite to take on something this controversial in the Senate.
Even if it doesn't pass, we've already seen major milestones for cannabis this past year with the legalization of hemp and the Marijuana Banking Act that we've told you about in previous 360s. We will keep you up to speed on the MORE Act status in Congress. And if you have an issue or story idea that needs a 360 perspective, email 360@koaa.com.